What is going on, everybody? Thank you very much for tuning in. Friday, October 18th, 8 a.m. I'm right here, guys. Monday through Friday. If you don't know yet, come find Sliwa. He's hanging out on YouTube. It's the Sliwa Show, live Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. Appreciate you guys hanging out. We got a lot to get into. This is going to be one of those shows where how do you get everything in an hour? You know what also doesn't help is my intro. My intro, I spend 3-4 minutes talking about nothing. I say good morning to everybody. Top of them. Actually, I don't. Let me take that back. It's not that I say. It's not that it's nothing, but I like kind of easing into the show. You know what I mean? All right, give me a second. Let me get the engine started. How many times has your mechanic told you start your car? Give it 4 or 5 minutes before you get actually get on the road. I appreciate you guys hanging out on this Friday. We got a lot to get into. I don't even know why I'm going to talk about the Dodgers. There really is no point to talk about the Dodgers. I mean, is there a mercy rule in this series? Jesus, relax. Dodgers, relax for a second. It's okay to have a couple holes every once in a while. It's okay to have a bad game every once in a while. Dodgers absolutely dominating the Mets. Couple stats I saw earlier today doing a little bit of research that's just absolutely absurd. I'll talk about the Dodgers and the Mets, talk about how, oh, by the way, there are two really good players that start that lineup, Shohei Ohtani, Mookie Betts. Go look at what their numbers were last night in New York. Some of the other players that, again, I'm going to keep harping on this. Tommy Edman might have been the best player so far in the NLCS for the Dodgers, and I don't think I'm stretching that out by saying that. Todd Dodgers, Dalton Knecht. Did Dalton Knecht just go off for 35 yesterday? Am I seeing this right? Watching a little bit of the game yesterday and not really much in the preseason to look at. He scored 25 of his 35 points in the fourth quarter and in overtime. An absolute stud. I'm definitely going to spend some time talking about Dalton Knecht and how this guy, maybe he can be a little bit of a game changer for the Los Angeles Lakers this year. How many rookies do you see doing that in the NBA, especially not a top 3, top 5 pick? We'll get into that. Ask Slee coming up at the end of the show. So if you don't know what Ask Slee is, basically you throw in any questions or comments that you want me to highlight here, and I'll answer them. They don't got to be sports related. Probably better if they're not sports related. Ask random questions. I used to do it on 710 ESPN. I'm still waiting for a cease and desist from 710 ESPN saying, "Hey, you can't use Ask Slee." But then my attorneys come back and say, "Yeah, but his name is Sliwa. Like it's his name. I think he could use it." Matt Moreno of Dodger Blue is going to join in about 8:15. I'm going to have him come on and we'll talk, kind of break down that the Dodgers Mets game as well. All right, let's get things started. Little cup of Joe. I went right across the street from me. I will eventually do this, kind of take a little tours around the area that I'm in because I think you guys will like the area. There's a place here called Naked Cafe. No clothes required. Naked Cafe. Bro, their coffee? Come on. Come on. Now, I listen, and I did just kind of a regular cup of coffee here. Okay, did I get some steamed milk? I threw some steamed milk in there. It's a Friday, I got to pay an extra $1 for it, but I got in there and I got that steamed milk in here. So cup of Joe here, top of the morning to you. Let's get started. The Los Angeles Dodgers, I don't know if you guys know this, they're a pretty good baseball team. They play up in LA. There's an exit called Dodger Stadium, and then there's a stadium there called Chavez Ravine Dodger Stadium. It's a pretty they're a pretty good team. This is probably the best I've seen the Los Angeles Dodgers in a stretch in a really long time. And I know there's a lot of Dodger fans on here, and you guys are probably watching and caring and breathing and living and breathing a Dodger baseball more than I am. I just do it because it's part of my job. Obviously, I'm not as excited about the Los Angeles Dodgers. They're balling. And that's the one thing that I'm going to sit here and I'm going to spend a lot of time on is there's certain things that you watch when you're watching a certain team, and how does the chemistry look? All right, what are their strengths and weaknesses? Okay, what are areas that they're absolutely killing it in? What are areas that they really, really struggle in? I can't find anything wrong with this Dodgers team right now. Do you know right now what the score is between the Dodgers and the Mets this series in the NLCS? They might as well just stop airing these games. Don't even televise them. I mean, for the Mets fans out there, all of us Mets fans out there, for the Mets fans out there who thought they might have a chance against the Los Angeles Dodgers, you might as well just stop airing the game. It's 30-9 in the NLCS, and it's 3-1 the Dodgers. They have walked into Citi Field in New York and have completely embarrassed the New York Mets. I mean, there's no other way to put it. 30-9 in this series, and take a look at, and I think this is the thing that I would pay most attention to. They look comfortable. They all look like they're on the same page. They don't look like anybody's pressing. They're passing the baton on from one batter to the next. They had 9 walks yesterday. I know the Mets have a high tendency of walking guys. They had 9 walks yesterday, and they also had 12 hits. This is as dangerous as I have seen the Los Angeles Dodgers in a very long time, and this isn't June, and it's not July, and it's not August, and it's not September. It's October. So for a Dodgers team that and an organization where all they care about is supposed to be postseason play, it's been pretty damn incredible to see what they've done so far. And I'm going to go back to what I was saying because I do think it's the most important thing. They look most comfortable in the playoffs. Those two have not gone together for the Los Angeles Dodgers, and it's everybody. Whether it's Max Muncy getting on base 12 times in a row, he broke a postseason record yesterday. I think Ortiz was on there. I forget who the other name was on there. Fox had him on there. He had another 3 walks yesterday, and he singled. Whether it's Tommy Edman, who somebody want to figure out to me another acquisition that has come in has been this much of a, I mean, you could say Kopech. I mean, really, every move that the Dodgers made at the deadline has been very, very, very helpful. But Tommy Edman, they now put in the cleanup spot because of what he's doing, which, by the way, I think it's pretty cool that they are rewarding him for what he's been doing. Kike got moved up as well. Both of those guys got your second and your third run in that game for the Dodgers when the game was tied 1 apiece. Those guys have been huge. And I haven't even talked about yet the stars. Shohei and Mookie, like, of course they're going to have moments and they're going to have games. But, and I know you depend on your stars and you put a lot of weight on the shoulder of your stars. But every time Shohei would struggle or go through a slump, it's like, all right, well, that's going to end. It could end at his next at-bat. The Mookie one I thought was really interesting because watching that series, Padres and the Dodgers, Mookie was struggling. And I remember this like it was 4 minutes ago. I remember Ortiz in one of the Fox Sports broadcasts basically like giving this guy some advice and, hey, you just got to go back to having fun. You're Mookie freaking Betts. Go do your thing. Mookie Betts yesterday, 4 for 6 from the plate. Just incredible. And he's starting to look like the Mookie Betts that everybody's accustomed to. But phenomenal again from him. The stars, if you had any question marks about, hey, where are the stars? What are they doing? Are they going to show up? Are they going to do this? Both of those players yesterday were incredible, were unbelievable, and it's kind of exactly what you expect from Mookie Betts and Shohei Ohtani. So I'm showing here, this is Mookie's 2-run homer. Between those two players alone yesterday, Shohei, how many walks did he have? Shohei had 3 walks, had his home run to start off the game. Mookie went 4 for 6 from the plate, and your stars kind of set the table, and then everybody else contributed. They're scary, man. I don't know what to tell you. If you're a Dodger fan right now, you got to feel great about the position that you're in. I don't know. I genuinely don't know this, even though I do feel like I think there's a little bit to this. I don't know if that series against the Padres maybe woke them up. Maybe they were better off facing the Padres early. Maybe they were better off with a lot of that drama that was going on in that series. But the Dodgers look so incredibly locked in right now. I cannot find a flaw on that team right now. Yamamoto, again, pitches. I think it was 4 2/3 yesterday. Starting pitching only gives up 2 runs. That bullpen is absolutely elite. Did they have some moments where guys were in trouble? Yeah, they did, but they got out of it. And they're at the absolute worst coming back to Dodger Stadium at some point this weekend with a 3-2 lead, or they're going to end it tonight and just go back to Dodger Stadium and just hang out and relax because the Guardians found a way to beat the Yankees yesterday. Impressive. That's all I can say. That's the best way that I can describe it. It's as good as I've seen this Dodgers team in a long time. And where they go from here, it almost just seems like a complete shock or a surprise if they don't win the entire thing. I know anything can happen in baseball, but damn, they are demolishing it. All right, let's see what we got here. Sliwa, you are invited to the parade in Echo Park. You know what? I just looked at my calendar. I just looked at my schedule. I'm unavailable that day. I don't even know what day it is, but I'm unavailable that day. Dave Roberts is pulling all the right strings. Let me give Dave Roberts a little bit of credit here. Dave Roberts, listen, everybody knows, and I don't want people backing away and saying all of a sudden to themselves that, I always believed in Dave Roberts. Stop BSing yourself. Dave Roberts has got a lot of scrutiny, and I don't disagree with the scrutiny. I listen, when you got that type of payroll, these type of players, you're expected to go to the World Series. And the last couple of years, I think his job should have been on the line. Why wouldn't it have been on the line? Somebody explained to me what happened in those last couple of years where they were out against the Padres, out against the Diamondbacks. And I know, everybody just keeps saying, "Oh, well, it's baseball." Well, that excuse runs old for a team that has one of the highest payrolls in baseball, all the talent that they do, every resource that you could possibly think of. No, this is Dave Roberts' job. Dave Roberts' job is to get the Dodgers to the World Series. That's his job. And every other manager in baseball wished that they were in his position, that they had the analytics that they have, that they had the prospects that they have, that they had the farm system that they have ownership that they have. Every manager in baseball wishes that the team they manage had all the resources that the Dodgers have. Dave Roberts has pulled every right string in this playoffs. That's his job for the Los Angeles Dodgers. That's his expectations. If he was in Tampa, or if he was in pick any other team in Arizona, pick any other team that you want. The expectations are different for the Los Angeles Dodgers. Expectations are different because they've put every resource into winning. So you're supposed to win. Dodgers offense is strong. They got 30 runs in this series so far. 30 runs so far in this series. All right, let me get a couple more of these here. Max Muncy, 12 straight at-bats. Yeah, I mean, incredible. Broke a postseason record with those 12 at-bats. Honestly, the Padres woke the Dodgers up. Fact, I don't disagree with that. I actually think there's something to that. I think that was kind of benefit to the Dodgers to have the Padres early on. It might be the toughest matchup that they have the entire playoffs. I wouldn't be surprised at that. Padres and Dodgers was a really, really good matchup. Unfortunately for my team, they decided to not score for 2 games, 2 2/3 games. I mean, I don't know if you guys know this about baseball. Eventually, you got to score the ball. Eventually, you got to score some runs. All right, let me get a couple more here. All right, running late, listening while I'm walking my dog. All right, take care of your dog. Do your thing. Do your thing here. Okay, I want to welcome in here, and he was on about a week ago or so. Matt Moreno, nice enough to join the show again. Here, obviously, to talk some Dodgers baseball with Dodgers Blue. What is going on, Matt? Good morning, sir. How are you, brother?
Alan, I'm good. Thank you for having me on. I wasn't sure if this would ever happen again because I know the last time we talked, it was before Game 5. As you mentioned, your Padres had a little bit of trouble after that point, and I thought, oh, man, Alan's never inviting me back on to talk Dodgers baseball again.
Matt, I have a team of about 35 people that are under my umbrella right now. That's a complete lie. And we took a vote, and the vote just barely shaded. Let's let Matt back on, even though he ripped the heart and the soul of Sliwa about a week ago. Now, brother, I think as far as the Dodgers are obviously going and the way they're playing, I know a lot of listeners here love your insight, so I'm excited to have you on. Okay, let me start off with this. You surprised right now that it's 3-1 Dodgers and that they're not just beating the Mets, they are dismantling the Mets. So far in this series, it's 30-9. And I know, listen, whether you win by 1 run or you win by 10, it doesn't matter. It counts as 1 win. But that's got to be incredibly demoralizing for this Mets team. You surprised at all how much they've dominated?
A little bit. I'm not necessarily surprised that they're up 3-1. If I know we do have some overlap, some people are here this morning with you that watch some of our shows, and if they caught my prediction heading into the NLCS, I said Dodgers in 5, and I just wasn't fully sold on this Mets team. And I know that sounds a little ironic because if you go back to early June, there are different dates that have been thrown around, but basically since early June, the Mets had the best record in baseball, or one of the best records, right? And then they get into the playoffs. They upset the Brewers on the road. They upset the Phillies, and so they're kind of the hot team, in October, which is always a dangerous team. But something about the Mets just it rubbed me the wrong way, if you will. I wasn't fully sold on them, and so the fact that the Dodgers are up at 3-1, no, not surprising. The way they've continued to dominate, and like you said, the run differential that they've had during this series so far, that has been a little bit, just because that's not common, right? You get to this point, like different players have said it, every team is good. Like you can't overlook anybody type thing. But I think it's a testament. One of the things you and I discussed when I was on the first time, I sort of expressed that I think the Dodgers bullpen kind of top to bottom gets overshadowed a little bit. And the Dodgers also do a really good job of matching up their relievers with the right lane of hitters and getting, certain matchups and getting them to go the way that they kind of want and organized in that sense, and scripted, which I know can be a little bit taboo when it's not going well. So like I said, the series lead, not so much. How much they have thoroughly dominated them has been, especially because Ohtani, yes, he's come up with big hits with runners on base, but it's not like he's necessarily batting 500 kind of overall, and he's just an absolute wreaking havoc from the leadoff spot for the Dodgers. It's really been a collective effort.
Okay, so with that, I think there is something to that. I think anytime you see a playoff run in baseball or in the NBA or in football, there's always kind of some unsung heroes. You have to have them. If you're just depending on just your stars to deliver, they have a couple of bad nights, and now all of a sudden you find yourself in a hole. This run so far that the Dodgers have been on, obviously the 5 games against the Padres, and now putting themselves in a position 4 games through the Mets, 1 game away from winning the pennant. Give me some names that have really just have been, and I got a couple that come into mind, but just the names that have been most impressive to you that are not Shohei, Ohtani, and Mookie Betts.
I think obviously Tommy Edman is probably one of the first ones that sticks out. You look at Game 4, he had a couple hits, I think a couple RBIs, definitely at least one. I think 2. If you want to go, Max Muncy, I know I saw one of your commenters bring up that he set the postseason, a single postseason record of reaching base safely in 12 consecutive plate appearances. I know you might get some Yankee fans, if they come across this, they'll scream Reggie Jackson, which yes, he did do it, but that was across 2 different playoffs, and so Muncy has the record for just 1 single postseason. If you want to go,
Yankees. Yeah, I like that. Matt, look at that. The series is not even over yet on both sides, and Matt's already going at the Yankees. What the hell is the World Series going to be like?
Yeah, no, yeah, We'll have to wait and see. You'll have to have me back on. We'll see what kind of mood I'm in that day and how the Yankee fans have been. But yeah, then if you want, I think you need to look in the bullpen as well. Michael Kopech, Blake Treinen, Evan Phillips. I know things got a little bit shaky. Jack Flaherty. I mean, it really has been, like I said, a collective effort. As much as Mookie did get things going kind of late into the NLDS and carried that into the series against the Mets, like the Dodgers have received just contributions from everybody, and everything has really sort of clicked, which isn't necessarily common in the playoffs, right? It's very easy for 1 or 2 things to go wrong and it kind of blows everything up. But when you do see a team sort of, like I said, for lack of a better term, clicking the way the Dodgers are in every aspect, how you get kind of, this type of run.
I got a couple here. One says Kike too, obviously what he's
That
been
is,
able to
yeah.
do,
Yeah.
unsung hero, and so comfortable in the big moments. Mike here says maybe. By the way, don't say we. I keep trying to emphasize this. I emphasized it yesterday, Matt. Don't say we. You. Okay, so
Yeah.
you could hire Jimmy Trumpet and Mr. Met to entertain Dodger fans during the parade. That's the Dodger fans, man, you give them a little bit of hope. They will run with that like no tomorrow. So wherever the hell they go from here. I think, you were talking about the way they're clicking right now. You watch Dodger baseball every single night. You've been following this team for a long time. You mentioned to me, give the story real quick. Your birth date is the same as give that. I know you and I were talking off air a week ago or so. Give that, because I think that's an interesting connection. I'm going to get to my next point.
Yeah, so a little bit of a running. My family grew up following the Dodger fans, so I was going to be born into it anyway. But that was really cemented when I was literally born the night that Kirk Gibson hit his walk-off home run in the '88 World Series. So there is like Tommy Lasorda likes to say, there's Dodger blue in his veins. There might be a little bit in mine as well.
That's a cool story. Cool story. Okay, so this is what I was going to ask. For as long as you've been watching them, we know the struggles that the Dodgers have had in the postseason. There, you could kind of go back to kind of look at some certain stretches for the Dodgers this year. Is this as good as you've seen the Dodgers over this last? Remember, they were down 2-1. They come back, obviously, win the 2 games in a row against the Padres. Even the game they lost 6-5, I don't think was a really poorly played game by either side. You just had one bad inning from both teams. But that's basically 6 games in a row at the highest stage, 2 elimination games. You're playing the New York Mets in the NLCS. Have you seen a stretch like this from the Dodgers, number one, in critical games? And number two, I guess the question is, why do they seem so loose right now when this has been one of the biggest struggles for the Dodgers once they get in the playoffs?
Yeah, so to your first question, I'd be hard pressed to remember another stretch of them playing like this impressive sort of all around baseball. Obviously, during the regular season, you go on 5-game winning streak type things, but sometimes the schedule breaks right and you get the Nationals, and no disrespect to them, or the Marlins type, like teams that obviously aren't contending and aren't necessarily winning, and maybe you're catching them during the middle of the week and they've already used one of their best starting pitchers, and so you get the back end of their rotation. And what we didn't necessarily see this year was, which I thought we would at some point in the second half, was the Dodgers go on one of their 20-3 runs, and it just didn't happen. And it's not necessarily a criticism of them, because obviously they were decimated by injuries. It was just a never-ending storyline for the team, and it's carried into the playoffs.
What's crazy, Matt, too, and you finish that point off here, but what's crazy is they never needed it either. And what I mean by that is they still ended up with the best record in baseball, even with that. And I think that was kind of this was such an interesting year in baseball, because nobody really ran away with anything. That's why all 12 teams that were in the postseason when the playoffs started, it was, hey, and you can make a case for any one of these teams. Of course, there's going to be certain teams that have a greater possibility, but the one fear that I think always was with the Dodgers is if they start clicking, well, what is that? I mean, who's got more talent than the Dodgers? And here they are clicking now. But finish off what you were saying.
Yeah, and so then to your second question in terms of what's maybe different for the Dodgers, I think Kike Hernandez deserves at least a decent amount of credit for that. He's obviously been through the postseason. He made it certainly with the Dodgers early in his career, then with the Red Sox, definitely once, maybe twice. So he's been in these moments. He relishes these moments, both like just from the pressure, if you will, and the emotional aspect of, and that's something that the Dodgers I don't think have always necessarily embraced. Of, hey, like there is absolute value to Dave Roberts having this team kind of even keeled throughout the long course of a season. Like, you lose 3 or 4 in a row, there's no need to put yourself in the dumps. Tomorrow's a different day. You win 3 or 4 in a row, there's no need to get too high, because you could just as easily lose a couple. It is a long season, but I thought sometimes where the Dodgers fell a little bit flat was embracing, hey guys, like, we don't necessarily need to feel pressure with these playoff games, but we can acknowledge and realize that there might not be a tomorrow. If you lose enough of these, there's no tomorrow. And I think that's changed. Mookie specifically said, he in the playoffs in the past tried to maintain kind of that even keel, not really get any sort of, I think he calls it like an emotion, not ride the emotional wave. And that Kike Hernandez sort of talked to him about maybe taking a little bit of a different approach. And Mookie said, it's kind of unlocked something. It's allowed him maybe to play a little bit more free. So I think we've seen that. I think you get guys obviously like Shohei Ohtani, being the talent that he is. This is his first playoffs. Like, this is brand new to him. And so that sort of, I think, motivates him. Will Smith discussed something like Freddie Freeman playing through a pretty bad sprained right ankle and doing what he can to get out there is motivating as a teammate. And so it's almost like, I don't want to call it a perfect storm, but a lot of different factors kind of coming together for this team.
Yeah, it's a good point. I definitely think there's something there. There's a few times, and you see it even from the opposing side when Freddie Freeman is hobbling around, you're like, damn, that guy's a trooper. Well, imagine if that's one of your own teammates. Imagine if that's one of your, your own guys that you just kind of see what he has to do just to be on the field to try to help. I think that does kind of set an example. And he's a star player. It's not like, this is just some random guy trying to make it in the league. It shows you how much it means to him and everybody else. Before you came on, we are talking a little bit about Dave Roberts. And can you give me, what are some of the things that you think Dave Roberts, has he done anything different this postseason than he's done in the past? And if he hasn't, that's okay. But what are some of the decisions he's made or some of the strings that he's pulled that has stood out to you so far in the postseason?
I don't necessarily know how much he's done, quote unquote, different than years past. I think players are doing their jobs. And so every decision he makes looks like it's great and working out. That being said, what I do feel was a little bit different was against the Padres in game 4 when the Dodgers went to a bullpen game. Not so much that they were having a bullpen game because that was obvious, just given the lack of starting pitching depth they have at this point, it was pretty clear they were going to go that route. But what I didn't expect was for Dave Roberts to kind of turn to a lot of the high leverage relievers early on in the game and just basically start a parade of them. And even as the Dodgers sort of started to break that game open a little bit, there was a potential to go to Landon Knack. Like, let's have him pitch maybe 2 or 3 innings to save, Blake Trinan or Evan Phillips. Dave Roberts didn't do that. He kept, his foot on the gas, if you will, and kept going to, just one impact kind of trusted relief pitcher after another, even after it, it kind of appeared late in the game that the Dodgers had it well in hand. And then it wasn't until the 9th inning that Landon Knack got into that. So that was the most surprising. I think that really exemplified, look, he understood the sense of urgency. If the Dodgers lost that game for whatever reason, they were going home. And the Padres, they're a good enough team that if you put in a relief pitcher early, all of a sudden your 6-0 lead becomes 6-2, and maybe they get a little bit of momentum, and then it's 6-4 a couple innings later, and all of a sudden it's a different ball game, right? So I think he took that possibility just off the table the way he managed that game. I think he's made, he's pushed. He left Jack Flaherty in against the Mets to go 7 shutout innings in game 1. Like, he's pushed him a little bit rather than pulling the plug at maybe 5 or 6, and stuff like that. I think makes a little bit of a difference. So he's maybe been a little bit more aggressive, maybe trusted his players a little bit more, but I don't know how different that is. I'd have to really go back and look at, kind of the big swing games, maybe of past playoff series to see what he did. I think honestly, a lot of it is the players are just sort of getting the job done.
Yeah, it's kind of I feel like, and this could just simply be the fact that the Dodgers are winning games, so that's why all of a sudden he's looking like, oh my gosh, I mean, what Dave's doing this year. And you're right, maybe it's not that much different than he was doing in the past, but I do feel like his fingerprints are on it a little bit more. I don't know if that means that they're giving him a little bit, you know what? In this situation, we usually take Walker Buehler out of the game. No, let's keep him in for one more at bat. In this situation, with the bases loaded, Evan Phillips has looked okay. You know what? Let's go to somebody else. No, let's let him finish and let's see what he can do. Maybe I'm looking at it too much. Moving Tommy Edman up and saying, you know what? Screw it. We're going to bat this guy earlier in the order. Kike as well. There's adjustments that I feel like are happening that, again, you could just be a prisoner of the moment. and maybe this stuff was happening in previous years, but I feel like it has not been typical. Everything is just going by the book, and there's no feel to the game. I feel like sometimes with the Dodgers, it's just, guys, it's already written on paper. We can't take it off the paper. I don't know if I'm a prisoner of the moment right now because of that, or seeing that in the past, but it feels like he looks very comfortable in the moment. It feels like his confidence is growing on some of the decisions that he's made and the players that are coming through for him. And I think maybe the point that you made earlier, look, Mookie Betts is not in an 0 for 22 slump, or 4 or 3 for 45 or whatever that was. Mookie Betts was 4 for 6 yesterday. Shohei Ohtani, you have star power that's delivering, and you have other players further in the lineup that are delivering, and then you got a bullpen that's still unbelievable, and you got starting pitching that keeps coming through. I guess with a combination of all that, it can make me and you look good as a manager.
Yeah, definitely. I do agree. Maybe there is more feel from him this year than past playoff runs that the Dodgers have had. That, to me, in terms of the lineup construction, that's a little bit harder, because I know that the front office is involved in kind of, okay, how should we do this? And it is the collaborative effort. Not that, Andrew Friedman comes down and says, hey, this is the lineup, this is it. That's what you have to do. That's a discussion. With the bullpen decisions and just pitching in general, I agree. I think we've seen him. Well, we have seen in the past where maybe he's stuck with a guy for too long type thing because of his feel, and it sort of has backfired. I think against some of it, I think it's 50-50 where, it's worked out a lot of times this year. And there have been times, there was a couple, Evan Phillips kind of struggled a little bit last time. I thought he faced one more batter than he normally would have. I think the same thing with Yoshinobu Yamamoto in he didn't complete the inning, but his final inning of work, I thought he faced, I was a little surprised. I think it was Francisco Lindor they let him face after the leadoff man got on, whereas in the past, I think we would have seen a pitching change at that point. The feel aspect, I think we're seeing Dave get the bull. He's not late in getting a relief pitcher up in the bullpen, which I think has happened on occasion in years past. And then you're in a situation where you have to stick with the pitcher on the mound because you don't have anybody else ready. And look, 1 or 2 more at bats, and now all of a sudden that guy, you've given up a home
run. Mookie has obviously, whatever struggles he was in before, he's completely changed. When Mookie was struggling versus what Mookie is doing right now, I guess maybe quotes that he's had out there before, was there anything to identify, or was this guy just, hey, once I see a couple balls, once I hit a couple balls hard, now all of a sudden it could be just a confidence thing. I don't know if I need to swing 400 ABs before the next game. What have you noticed that changed with Mookie? Because he's not looking just like Mookie Betts. He's looking like one of the best players in the world over a short period of stretch here, but he is one of the best players in the world. So he's just really looking more like himself.
Yeah, I think honestly it's mental and confidence. It's baseball is a tough sport, and these guys, you're in the Hall of Fame by failing 70% of the time, right? That's kind of the old you hit 300, you can kind of get it, and obviously have other stats in a strong career. That gets you into the Hall of Fame. Well, if you hit 300, that also amounts to failing 70% of the time in your career, which is a lot. Baseball players have said it, it's a sport of failure. And I think Mookie put a lot of pressure on himself. I think
Matt, just so you know, I'm at an 85% clip of failing just in life in general. But those 15%, man, those are great 15%.
Yeah,
all right, let's
definitely.
Get back to it. My apologies there.
So, I think it was, kind of mental. He said during the NLDS that he took, I don't know at what point he did it, but he took social media off his phone. He stopped going on different apps. I think that helps. To your point, about the 300, 400, 500 swings a day, he says he still is doing that just because at this point, he would rather overwork than not work enough with where the Dodgers are. And so it's not like he necessarily found something doing that 5 days ago and has stopped. He is still continuing to do it. And he acknowledges that, it's not necessarily the best thing. You can get worn down that way, but that he does take care of his body. And so he's been able to withstand it. But yeah, I think the biggest thing is just kind of the mental pressure that maybe he was putting on himself, and the confidence. Like you said, you get a hit, you get a home run, all of a sudden things maybe start to feel a little bit. You can breathe a little bit easier. And one thing Dave Roberts said that he was going to talk to Mookie about was, look, the Dodgers don't need you to be this kind of superstar, otherworldly player. Dave's message was, we just need you to be Mookie Betts. And I think that's what we're kind of seeing. And like you said, Mookie being Mookie that amounts to one of the best players in baseball. So he's kind of, I would say he's exceeded his expectations just because he's on a little bit of a heater here with, a lot of the slug that we've seen from him. But it more or less is kind of Mookie reaching kind of just the standard level, the bar that he has set, which admittedly is high, but he's certainly talented enough for that to be reasonable expectations for him.
All right, Matt Moreno, Dodger Blue, hanging out here, and we're talking kind of recapping the first 4 games between the Dodgers and the Mets. I personally believe they should stop televising the games. I mean, it's just not I think if Fox replays maybe Oregon, Ohio State from last week, it might get better ratings than this Dodgers-Mets series right now. Dodgers obviously dominating. How do they close it out? What do you feel? There's early game today, 2:08 first pitch.
Yeah, I tried to get them to do 2:05. I asked them for 2:10. They said, "Sorry, we need to be 2:08." Tell Alan maybe we'll get them next time.
2:08. What are we doing? All right. So what do you just your thoughts? Is this coming back to LA? I think here's the one thing I will say about the Mets. They're playing with house money. Obviously, when I say house money is as in they're down 3-1. There's no pressure on them. I think if they were able to just be a headache for the Dodgers, even if it's for one more game and have to force LA to, obviously close it out in Los Angeles, or is there are the Dodgers just clicking way too well? Flaherty's on the mound. This is just not going to be one of those days for the Dodgers. What's just your thoughts on this upcoming game, and if you think it's going back to LA?
I think the Dodgers are coming back to LA. I think they're going to be alone. I don't think a second team from New York is coming with them. Not yet, at least. I think if there is, if you're the Mets and there is some sort of hope, if you will, to me, I sort of wonder, how is Jack Flaherty going to be? We have seen some uneven performances from him recently. His last one was obviously very good, but now at this point, he is starting on kind of the traditional MLB regular rest, which is 4 days, which is not something the Dodgers typically do. Flaherty obviously hasn't been with the Dodgers for multiple years, and so he is accustomed to, I think, this type of schedule, but maybe that is a factor, right? He 7 innings in his last start, kind of 1 fewer day of rest than the Dodgers historically do. Like, will he be a little bit shaky? And is that going to kind of create an opportunity for the Mets to, score some runs early and then, change the complex of the game? I don't necessarily think so. I think this Dodgers team, like I said, is just kind of clicking right now on all cylinders. And heading into this, I said, I predicted the Dodgers would win in 5 games. So that's what I'm going to stick to.
All right. There you go. Real quick, I'm going to ask you one quick question on the ALCS. Incredible game yesterday. Incredible. Yeah. I mean, if nobody was watching that, Guardians, 2 outs, 2 strikes, 0-2 actually at one point. The count worked its way. Nobody on, down 5-3, and how they gave up the lead. Clase, obviously, their closer, who I saw that stat yesterday. I don't know if you saw it, but he had given up, I want to say it was 2 home runs and 5 runs all year.
Yep.
And in the postseason, he's given up 3 home runs, and I think it was 6 runs that he gave up. So Cleveland completely breaking down, an error to get that 5th run. They hit a 2-run homer in the bottom of the 9th inning to tie the game. Bottom of the 10th, they hit a 2-run homer. And I would imagine here Dodger fans are looking at that series and saying, Cleveland, make this a series. Cleveland, make this a series. I'm not going to pretend here that I watched Guardians baseball all year, because I did not. Between those 2 teams, if you're just simply trying to win, what's the better matchup for the Dodgers?
I mean, I think, probably the Guardians, right? Just
I would assume.
Mm-hmm. The Yankees have Juan Soto, Aaron Judge, Giancarlo Stanton. Like those are 3 big hitters who could control a series and change the complex of a game with one swing of the bat. Heading into the ALCS, I thought maybe the Guardians would be able to put up a little bit of a fight against the Yankees, because I don't, like you said, like in the playoffs in general, when it started, at least, like there wasn't one team that, oh my gosh, they're the heavy favorites to win all of this. It doesn't matter who they play. Yankees, I think, have some holes. The Dodgers obviously have some holes. The Guardians, have some limitations as well. once the Guardians went down 2-0 in that series, I thought, okay, this isn't going to really. This might be a short ALCS for them. I think obviously it still
in the
could
bottom
be.
of the ninth, it looked like a short series for them.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I think obviously it still could be. Like if the Yankees come back and win today and win tomorrow, then hey, Guardians, pat on the back, you won one game. Like you avoided being swept, I guess. So the potential is still there, but they are at home. Maybe a little bit of motivation. In some sense, they shouldn't have necessarily needed their walk-off home run, right? Like you said, Clase has been lights out all year, and so to kind of give up the back-to-back home runs was unexpected. And so, maybe that game kind of ended the way it sort of should, if you will. Baseball has a funny way of, playing itself out in that sense. But yeah, I mean, if you're the Dodgers, I think your preference would probably be the Guardians. If you're Major League Baseball, obviously you're rooting for the Dodgers and Yankees to sort of renew their rivalry again.
Yeah, I think I was the only one. I thought Guardians Mets would kill it in the ratings. That was my personal opinion. It wasn't a slated opinion at all. It was my personal. It was in my soul. It was in my soul. I Matt. Hey, I appreciate it, brother. Thank you for coming on. Great conversation as always. I know a lot of the listeners appreciate when you come on as well. So we'll do it again. Thank you for doing this, and we'll get with you soon. All right, bud. Have a good weekend.
Yeah, anytime. I'll talk to you, Alan.
All right, brother. That is Matt Moreno right there. Dodger Blue. Dodger Blue. Dodgers just invading my own show. The hell's going on here? Yeah, at some point I had to exit because in my mind I'm like, listen, this series is over. There's nothing really left to talk about with this series. Now, he's fantastic. He's got great insight. I love his style too. Just kind of calm, cool, and collected. So great to have him on. All right. Couple things here that I need to do with you guys here before we still got a lot of time. So if we go past 9 today, we go past 9 today. I do have a meeting at 9:30 that I have to get to. So FYI on that. I mentioned to you guys Astley. So on Fridays, we do Astley. I'm going to get into Dalton Knecht next, but I want to set up Astley. Astley coming up next or in a little bit. Astley is basically any question that you want to ask me. I'm only going to do them on Friday, throw them on there, and I'll try to get to them as I go. So the question could be about anything and literally whatever you guys want to talk about, random questions, throw them in there and I'll do my best. Okay, so Astley, you could put those in right now. What the hell happened yesterday? Anybody watching Lakers preseason basketball? Is Dalton Knecht a freaking baller? Is Dalton Knecht an absolute baller? All right, give me a second here. Let me share my screen here real quick with everybody. Dalton Knecht yesterday for the Los Angeles Lakers. You guys can watch some of these highlights here. Look at Lakers. Down 3, need to send to overtime. The ball, Dalton Knecht. He's got it. He's got it. It's all good. Hey, I'm 22 years old. I'm a rookie. Let me throw my hands out real quick. No big deal. Just another day in the office. And I don't want people sitting here and saying, oh, well, it's just preseason basketball. Dalton Knecht is a rookie, number 17 pick. Everybody knows that the Lakers stole Dalton Knecht in that draft because 16 other teams, I don't know what the hell they were doing. Dude's an absolute sniper. And I don't know if you guys remember this, but I was talking about this a couple different times over the course of the last week, that the only thing that I was really paying attention to in the preseason, or one of the things I was paying attention to, I'm like, damn, they're letting Dalton Knecht just fire away. He had some games early in the preseason where I think AD had 14 shot attempts and somebody else had 14 shots. Dalton Knecht had 15. I'm like, wait a minute. So Dalton Knecht's taking more shots than AD? I know it's the preseason. But what that indicated to me is they want Dalton Knecht to shoot the rock. What that indicated to me is, Knecht, we need you in the summer league and in preseason to get as many reps as you can because we're going to use you once that regular season starts. Dalton Knecht last night against the Phoenix Suns. I'm going to read this again. I got his stats right here. Give me 2 seconds. Played 32 minutes, 10 of 18 from the field. 8 of 13 from the three-point line. Also got to the free throw line and hit his free throws. 7 of 8 from the free throw line. I don't know why I love that stat, but I do. Dalton Knecht had 35 and 7 for the Los Angeles Lakers yesterday. And I don't need to tell you how desperate of a franchise the Lakers are to have shooters. Today's NBA, you got to have shooters. And that dude was balling out yesterday. 25 of his 35 points came in the fourth quarter and in overtime. Lakers won the preseason game. I'm not sitting here trying to tell you that, okay, winning that preseason game is a big deal. I don't care about that. But I love the way Dalton Knecht was playing yesterday. I mean, talk about a kid that is not worried or afraid about the moment at all. Talk about a kid that has supreme confidence in his game, like sizing up players and taking jumpers over them. I loved the interaction when he would hit his shots and he would go to the bench. And then all of a sudden you got LeBron and Jared Vanderbilt and Rui Hachimura and Anthony Davis, all these guys pushing him around. And Dalton Knecht was looking at him like, yeah, that's what I do. You know, it's one thing sometimes when you see a player, that, excuse me, guys, got to clear my throat here. You know, you get a little excited. I got a little excited, and then everything changed from here. It's one thing to see a player that maybe doesn't know if he is supposed to be there, or maybe, you know, the moment is too big for him. However you want to look at it, right? Like we've all watched players and specific individuals in sports. We've all seen them. And maybe there are times where the players that are interacting with their teammate, it's like, hey, what a cool moment. Dalton Knecht, the way LeBron was interacting with him, the way Anthony Davis was interacting with him, what I loved most is Dalton Knecht. He didn't change character. Dalton Knecht was like, the way I just hit that three right between that dude's eyes is the same way I'm walking to the bench. Yeah, that's what I do. Dalton Knecht was incredibly impressive last night. Let me play something here. I want to play you guys something here real quick. This is from JJ Redick, so give me 2 seconds to set it up. But that dude was absolutely balling yesterday. I don't want anybody. If anybody wants to throw shade and say, hey, it was just a preseason game. If anybody wants to throw shade and say, oh, it's not that big of a deal. You're 22 years old. You're clearly going to get chances once the regular season starts, and the Lakers are going to depend on a guy like Dalton Knecht, and you're dropping 35 in an NBA preseason game. I don't care whether it's preseason or it's the NBA Finals. He's 22 years old. He's only played, that's his 5th game in the preseason in the NBA. Going on that kind of a run, 25 points in the fourth quarter and overtime, no one's throwing water on that one. Take a quick listen here. Here's JJ Redick right after the game.
My assistants tried to tell me not to put him back in the game with 4 minutes to go. So I'm going to get them. I'm going to get them afterwards. I'll tell you that.
I don't know why it feels a little bit different too, but the fact that it's JJ Redick as his coach, a sniper that was in the NBA and was a role player. By the way, Dalton Knecht, he's not just I come off a screen and I hit a shot. Dalton Knecht can create for himself. I think the more comfortable that he gets, he could get to the basket as well. He can size up a player and just kind of determine, all right, what am I going to do? Am I pump faking the guy? Am I stepping back and taking a three? Am I going to the basket? He's a real basketball player. And I'm not trying to disrespect JJ Redick, but I think I just disrespected him. But there's certain players that are just shooters. There's other players, it's like, no, I have more of an arsenal here. And it feels like Dalton Knecht's going to have more of an arsenal. That dude went off yesterday, and that was very, very, very impressive. Very, very impressive. All right, let me see some of your guys' comments here on Dalton Knecht. This is a great one. What I love about Knecht isn't afraid of the moment. Listen, you can't teach that. You can't teach that. Right? In sports, you got certain players where as the moment gets bigger, they get smaller. Other players, as the moment gets bigger. Can I give you an example? And I'm going to throw Dodgers into this. Kike is a role player. Kike doesn't have a contract that's worth $100 million. But Kike, for some reason, has it in his mind, hey, it's playoff time. I just take my game to another level. It's like, well, that doesn't make any sense. But to him, it does. And I don't want to overreact too much, because Dalton Knecht, at some point, we're going to have to see, obviously what type of player this guy is once the regular season starts. But how can you not be excited about grabbing Dalton Knecht at number 17? I thought it was cool yesterday after the game. Reggie Miller was on the broadcast. And he said something. He, congratulated him after the game after Trudell was done doing his interview with him. Trudell had a cold line last night too. He said something right when he's done with Dalton. He said, "Go put your hand in some ice." I'm like, that Trudell, that's a solid line right there. That's a great line right there. Go put your hand in some ice. That's how hot he was. But Reggie Miller said something. He said, shooters shoot. And there was like it was kind of a weird interaction between Reggie Miller and Dalton Knecht. Reggie Miller, for some reason, was more excited than Dalton Knecht. Reggie Miller, listen, these guys know who are players and who are not. Reggie Miller just saw a dude who's 22 years old, who's only played a few preseason games, and identified, yeah, that's a baller. That's a shooter. That's a kid in this league that 16 teams passed up on, that the Lakers probably just found a steal in the draft. And the Lakers are desperate for some talent right now. Desperate for young talent, desperate for shooters, and desperate for talent, period, in general. And I thought that was a cool interaction because you can almost see Reggie Miller having this connection with Dalton Knecht. Like, yeah, I've been there, I've done that, and I think I see something. Again, I'm not trying to make it sound like he's the next coming of Reggie Miller. What I'm making it sound like is Dalton Knecht is going to be very useful for the Lakers this year, and that's what I'm excited about. Watching some of those highlights yesterday and watching him play and listening to some of the pressers and looking as we did yesterday, obviously, or some of the highlights that I was showing on here. So I thought that was cool right there. Okay. All right, let's keep going here. I got a couple things I want to address here real quick. Let me show everybody here. I highlighted a couple. By the way, get some ass slees in here. I'll highlight them and then go. Slee, all of us Mets fans. Who said that? I didn't say that. Who said that? Where's the footage? I don't believe you, bro. I don't believe you. All right. I saw a lot of this going on in the chat. David, I thought the same thing. Dude could do a show 7 to 9. Okay, let me tell you guys something real quick about the kind of the start of the show. Today I'm finishing 3 weeks on the podcast. So for all those that are wondering kind of how's the show going? How's it? This shit's not easy. This stuff's challenging. It's a one-man operation. I got a couple people kind of starting to help me in the background a little bit. But what the show is today is not my exact vision, but it's the best that I could do right now under the circumstances. And I'm okay with that. I think anytime you're jumping into something that I'm jumping, it's going to take a second. So just to answer this question, dude could do a show 7 to 9. 1 hour goes by really, really quick. Do I feel like I can go longer than an hour? Probably, but not set up for that right now. I think right now it was more about kind of getting my foundation set, figuring out what the hell I'm doing. I will say from a partnership perspective and advertising perspective, I don't have any partners right now that are currently on the show that are investing into the show. I'm not going to expand a show until I make sure that I'm utilizing as much value as possible in this hour that I'm doing. I want to, as best as I can, master this hour. I want it to be exactly what I'm looking for. I want to make sure that I have partnerships that are part of the show as well, where they feel like they're getting value, that the partners that are a part of the show also have interaction with the listeners, and it's not a nuisance, that the show just kind of all flows together. I can't think of a second hour until I master my first hour, and I'm not there yet, and I got a ways to go. But the show does fly, and do I know that I can carry 2? Yeah, I probably can, but I like throwing my absolute best for this hour, and then if it goes a little bit longer, cool. Maybe sometimes it's a little more extended. But I saw that a few times in the chat, and I appreciate it, but not set up for that as well. Where are my partners? You know what I mean? How do I not have a Lexus dealer on here? I've been driving Lexus for over 15 years, and I don't have a Lexus dealer on here. Are you kidding me right now? I guess I'm not a good a salesman as I thought I was. I'll get them. Don't worry. Everybody just calm down and relax here. I will turn this into a business. I just need a second here. Need a second to figure it all out. All right, let's see what we got here. Davis playing poker with a bullpen 5 to 9 innings. All right, that's such a random one, but I know that was there up a little earlier. I appreciate the super mic. I know we were into some of that some of the specific, the baseball stuff that was going on. Okay, let me get back to some of the athletes. Let's throw a couple athletes in here. Do better, Lexus. What the hell is going on, Lexus? You can buy subscribers. Not happening. Authentic or I don't want it. Authentic or I don't want it. All right, let's see what we got here. Any cool spots you recommend around Liberty Station in San Diego, going to a wedding or out there? My brother, I got a perfect spot for you. Liberty Station, for those who don't know, if you're up in Los Angeles and you eventually come down to San Diego, whatever the case is, I got a great Padres store that I could take you to. Great merchandise. We'll get you in a nice Padres hat. I'll have you rock a Machado jersey because I know it boils all your blood, or the blood boils. And then I'll take you down to Liberty Station. There's a place called Buena Forchetta. Buena Forchetta. Is it Bueno or Buena? Bueno Forchetta. It's a pizza spot, wood fire pizza, amazing food. It's right there at Liberty Station. It's a great spot. You'll like it. There's a lot of good breweries out there as well. So you could keep that one. Is Stone down there? Stone might be down there. I think Stone Brewing is down there as well, but a lot of good places up there. All right, let's see a couple more here. All right. Slee, have the restaurants in LA started calling your at 3:30 p.m. every afternoon asking why you're not in there for dinner? Yeah, I might be known a little bit. I might be known a little bit for going to dinner a little bit early. They have not started calling me yet, but I might be going. There's a place. I'm going to take the train back up to LA later today. Get on that 10:45. If you're on the train on Amtrak, come find Slee. 10:45 from Solana Beach right back up to LA to Union Station. There's a place called Father Nature in Pasadena, Middle Eastern food. Fantastic. I probably go eat there around 3:30, 4 o'clock. All right, let's see what else we got here. A couple more ass sleeves here. All right. Why Olivari is not getting more playing time than Bounty Soft James. And okay, yeah. Probably because he's just not going to be in the lineup. And I agree that Bronny probably won't be in the lineup as well, at least won't be a part of the everyday lineup. I don't think that's going to be happening. So that's probably why. How many pockets do you have on right now? Excellent question. Great question. Well, first off, let me just get this right out the gate. I got 2 up top right here. So I'm kind of setting the table with 2 here. So I got 6 right now. 6. I got jeans on, 2 in the front, 2 in the back, plus these. We got 6 total right now. Excellent question. I definitely appreciate the question. How about a dispensary sponsorship? Let me tell you something. Let's talk weed here for a quick second. We talk weed here for a second. We talk weed. It's Friday. Get your cup of coffee. I'm not opposed to that at all. But I think it's got to be an online one. Maybe there's ones just here in Southern California that I could target, but it's not a bad idea. And I'm not opposed to that at all. Definitely not opposed to that at all. All right, let's see what else we got here. By the way, meeting coming up 9:30, Underdog Fantasy. We got a meeting coming up with them. So I was telling you guys, right? I got to get out there and get some partnerships on here. Underdog Fantasy meeting at 9:30. I'll keep you posted what happens on Monday. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe just all my sales stuff that I start doing that I go out there. Here's another good one. Give us a good brewery in your area. Breweries, by the way, would be a good. Can I be honest with you? For this show, 8 a.m. tonight, I got to get a coffee sponsor. That's what I got to get. I got to get a coffee partnership. I mean, I'm sitting here saying a cup of Joe in the morning. So let me just go through the categories real quick. Coffee is going to be our target. Lexus, what are you doing, Lexus? I've been driving Lexus for, I'm like a family of Lexus here. Lexus is another category. And then we'll go get maybe an Underdog Fantasy, something like that. All right, now we're talking here. A good brewery in your area. So right next to me, there is Loma Santa Fe. There's a place here in Solana Beach called Culture Brewing. Phenomenal brewery. A really, really good brewery. I've worn their gear before, but Culture Brewing is another good brewery that's right next to me. There is a Pizza Port. Pizza Port is right next to me as well. Go get a nice slice of pie and a beer. Kick back. And again, if you're in LA and from LA, I'll take you down to the Padres store. We'll all hang out at the Padres store for a couple of hours. I need you there for a couple of hours. We get you all in some nice Padre gear, and then we'll head out there to a nice brewery. All right, see what else we got here. It's kind of fun, actually. I'm not going to lie. Oh, that's a good one. Slee, just get Julian Brewing Company to sponsor you. I have that hoodie. I do rock Julian Brewing. Julian Brewing's a little bit away, probably about 45 minutes away from, no, actually probably more than that, probably about an hour away from where I am. That's another great brewery right there. Okay, what do we got going on this weekend? Let me kind of, I have games on this weekend. I want to point something out here real quick. By the way, if you want to go back now to any type of sports stuff that you want to hit on, throw it in there, and I'll do my best to kind of talk about a couple of things. Eddie, you picked, in my opinion, it might be the best taco spot in all of San Diego, Lolitas. I used to go to the one out in Bonita because I have some family that live there. They used to have one in downtown. They closed that one down, but Lolitas is a great one. Okay, where was I going to go here? What the hell was I about to do? Okay, so some of what's going on. I don't know where you guys are with the NFL right now, but the NFL is just not, it's not reeling me in. I'm more paying attention to college right now because there's really good matchups. Alabama, Tennessee. I've never been to an SEC football game, and it is one of my bucket list things to do. And I was going to try to do it, earlier in this year, but then all of a sudden I stopped getting a paycheck, and all of a sudden I didn't have a steady income, nor health insurance, nor 401k contributions. So I was like, okay, I can't do that right now. But I got to get my ass to one of these SEC games. Alabama at Tennessee, how much fun would that be? I don't even care what it is. Do you know Georgia's at Texas on Saturday? God dang, the college football's got some good matchups. In the NFL, Raiders, Rams have a game. I can only imagine how many Raider fans are going to be there. Once we get out of the baseball, out of postseason, I'm going to have a lot more guests that are NFL centric, and of course, a lot of NBA guests as well. So I will be doing that. So just keep that one in mind. I'm busy, Mike. I'm busy that day. I know they haven't even set a day yet, but I can already see my schedule being very, very, very busy. All right, I think we're good. Love Pizza Port. Who's your favorite Laker of all time? I don't know if I've been asked that one before. Magic was my favorite player growing up, so I think there's a connection there with Magic. Kobe is the greatest Laker of all time. But the reason why I got into Lakers basketball was because of Magic Johnson. So I think I got to give that honor to Magic right there. All right. My people, thank you very much for hanging out. I appreciate it. Hour went by really, really fast. Eddie Jones here, I got here as well. I appreciate you guys hanging out here for the show. Really, really enjoy doing this show. Let me be real here for everyone real quick, one quick second, and then we'll get the hell out of here for the weekend. I enjoy doing the show. I'm excited to do the show. And I appreciate anybody, whether it's 10 views I get or it's 10,000 views I get. I appreciate everybody that's hanging out and giving the show kind of an opportunity to figure out what it is. So thank you for doing this. Hope you guys have a great weekend. I'm 4 minutes of overtime right now, but I'll be back on Monday. There'll be a lot to talk about. By that point, I think the Dodgers are already going to be in the World Series, and Lakers will have one more preseason game left tonight. And then next week will be the start of NBA basketball. Tuesday, Lakers will be taking on the Minnesota Timberwolves. So we're getting into a really fun time of the year. Thank you for hanging out. Appreciate you guys being a part of the show, and we will see you guys next week. Thanks, everybody.